right, our last segment this week is on the American trucker convoy. Something different, something we haven't really seen. We're pulling up a New York Post article highlighting the American convoy and some key facts. America's trucker convoy could become the next Tea Party in time for midterms. Ooh. Canadian truckers captivated headlines and drove Prime Minister Justin Trudeau mad. American truckers could do the same to President Joe Biden. Joe Biden drove himself mad. He's already gone.
He's been gone. Come on now.
He's been gone. With a convoy departing Wednesday, organizers report more than 1,000 trucks signed up to travel cross-country from California to Washington, D.C., and anticipate the convoy will grow as it heads east. Hopefully. 1,000 trucks. Yeah. This could be pretty big. We're hoping, it's kind of inevitable that everything swings right during this midterm election cycle. Somewhat inevitable. I don't see how Democrats win unless they cheat. I really don't.
Yeah, no.
And I
agree.
I don't mean to get hubris in the way, but I really don't know how we lose this one.
Right. It should be obvious that they cheated. You can't deny it.
Absolutely, because I just there's so much pushing towards everybody saying okay, we need some balances, we need some checks on this, because this is not working out for anybody.
Nope.
Inspired by our neighbors to the north, organizers say the convoy is going to the Capitol to seek an end to the federal emergency declaration. The opponent Tea Party made its mark in America's 2010 midterm elections fighting bloated taxation. Could truckers fighting COVID mandates and restrictions spark a movement as powerful in November's midterms? Polling is on their side, with heavy-handed rules steadily losing their support. Think of it this way. Tea Party equals no taxation without representation. Truckers equals no vaccination without self-authorization. That's kind of cool. I like that.
I like that too.
The People's Convoy organizer, Mike Landis, noted in a launch video that the group isn't anti-vaccine, but it opposes mandates, encroachment on civil liberties. Even Trudeau conceded that 90% of Canadian truckers are vaccinated, though the American Trucking Association estimates 50% to 60% of US truckers are.
Dude, America's done if that's the case. If we do exactly what Canada did.
Had a spine.
Yeah.
At least 40 to 50% of them did. They're saying, I'm not doing this. This is BS. This is not working.
Or we're too stupid to acknowledge vaccines, but given this is the deadliest one, I can see people's hesitancy.
Right.
Yeah. It's up to you, Landis said. You want a vaccine? Take it. That's the whole point of this. It's about freedom. Your freedom to choose what you feel is best for your life within the morals and the guidelines of our Constitution. Ask a doctor. Trust in their faith and their medical degree and what they say that your body should have.
Doctor, am I at risk for this?
Should I take this? What should I do?
And look at the data. Everything is out there. You just have to look.
Yep.
Exactly. It's
you can make an informed decision on your own. And then just follow up with your doctor and say, hey, this is the conclusion I came to based off of this evidence. I just want to make sure that I'm in, good physical health to make sure that, I'm not going to fuck myself over later by doing this.
Exactly.
Still check with your doctor. But at the end of the day, if you decide that even after your doctor says, no, you should still probably get it because your type 1 diabetes or your asthma puts you at a higher risk. If you still decide, then that's on you.
Yep.
Right. And if you don't decide, then that's everything that happens, the consequences is on you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You should be in control of your life.
Right.
Canada's Freedom Convoy captured the country's imagination with the same message. Polling found many Canadians had sympathy for truckers and others adversely affected by vaccine mandates. Elliot Kaufman noted in the Wall Street Journal. The feds never offered a clear justification for requiring drivers who sit alone in the cabs of their trucks to be vaccinated. Indeed, truckers are in many ways modern-day cowboys who'd rather be on the open road than in a crowded cubicle. Growing up, I spent lots of time in trucking culture as my family often lived in a motorhome with 10 people. That's a lot of people.
8 kids.
8 kids, 2 parents, sometimes a cat or a dog. Sometimes. That's funny. We had CB radio names for each other, caravanning with the family car trailing behind. Mine was Big Hornet. Hornet after my 7th grade basketball team, the Hornets. What would yours be?
I don't think I have one. I don't have a CB radio.
Not in this day and age.
No. It's called a cell phone.
Yo, you know what's crazy? At one point, they're going to be like, yeah, we each had TikTok accounts. My first account's name was Sparkle Sizzle 47. Right? Is that not exactly what this is going to be? We hung out with these truckers at pit stops like Flying J. I go to Flying J sometimes.
Oh.
It's not bad. Decent gas prices. Where there's plenty of room to socially distance.
Ooh.
And try to sneak onto their CB channels and sound tough. I'm not a scientist, but I'd bet good money COVID can't transmit via CB radio wavelengths. I think so. I think you're right on that one.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about that one?
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure we'll find some way to transmit it through.
Well, as long as you're sitting down, it can't get to you from the radio waves.
You're right. You're
Just
right.
like
You
when
have
you're
to be
in a
sitting down.
restaurant.
Yep.
Wear a mask so your voice sounds really muffled when you're standing up. But don't wear a mask if you're sitting down, is what we're learning today.
Yep.
How great would it be if we were wearing masks right now so that way we can stay safe?
Pretty much.
I'd feel a lot safer.
If it makes sense, don't do it. If it does, if it doesn't make sense, do it. That's what we learned from Joshi and the gang this year.
Just do it.
Well,
We
these
love
masks
child
are
slavery. Nike. Landis rejected the idea that truckers are xenophobic or racist, a favorite slanderous trope that Trudeau and his liberal media allies in both countries float. What? Xenophobic for driving a truck?
Whatever.
What?
Logic
You
out the
can be
window. I don't
xenophobic
really.
For anything nowadays,
I guess.
I still don't know what that means.
When you overuse these words,
it becomes meaningless.
it's
So-
It
absolutely
really is. It has no power to it.
There's no meaning for what these words mean if you're just going to use it for anything that you disagree with.
Mhm.
It's kind of like, hey, well, that's exactly how communism starts.
It
Some
is.
group has said, oh, this person is held down because these people are racist and they hate you. And then they say, we're going to take
You
over.
control the language, you control the culture, and if you control
Yep.
the culture, you control the society.
Absolutely.
Kind of reminds me of a book.
Right? Starts with an O, double L at the end. It's a year.
It doesn't matter what you look like, what your skin color is, what your native language is, Landis said. If you're here and you hold American citizenship, you're an American. We just want to get that clear right now. This is for the people. Hell yeah, brother.
That's how it is.
And the people
Literally.
are open to the message. Monmouth University polling showed U.S. support for vaccine mandates dropped to just 43% in late January from 53% in September. That's a 10-point drop. With support for masking and social distancing guidelines dropping to 52% from 63%.
Finally.
People are starting to say, hey, it's
2 years
over.
later, but hey, whatever.
We're done with this. A morning consult survey this week ending February 6th similarly and found just half the public supports business COVID mandates, down from a high of 61% in September. Support for Biden's federal mandates fell to 54%, down from September's high of 66%. Yeah. Why would you ever support this stuff?
What's sad is when it literally goes to the Supreme Court and they say, oh yeah, the government can't do this to you because you have rights.
Yep.
And yet 54% of people still agree with it.
Yep. And they still do it. People
It's
still try and enforce it.
It's actually so stupid.
And my whole thing
I'm
with
not
this
surprised.
is that these laws, that these decrees, that these politicians, these governors, this president, everybody was making, most of them were executive orders, which means they weren't actually law.
Exactly.
They weren't actually, like...
The mandates aren't laws,
Yeah.
mind you, you know?
Like, if somebody doesn't want to enforce it, they don't have to enforce it because it's not a law.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anywhere part of our Constitution that you have to wear a mask. If there's a pandemic that people are saying you have to wear a mask for, there's none of that. You have some bodily autonomy. The Constitution did at least one thing right.
I was scared that they would go door to
bunch of other
door
things,
and
but-
like be like, "Are you vaccinated? Okay, let's set up an appointment." And I would have said no. Like, no, I don't need one.
Appointment and just not gone.
Just say yes.
Like I do with Kia with my cars.
Actually, that's a good idea because what if they
Terrible.
said, "Well, you can say like, I did get my vaccination. Don't you have my
Paperwork?
appointment? Like, I have proof that I went to this appointment, which is really just your scheduled appointment."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that before with something and it worked.
More than 3.5 million people work as truck drivers, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, making it one of America's largest occupations. Truckers are twice as likely as workers overall to be U.S. veterans, but just 7% have a bachelor's degree versus 35% for all workers. They are more likely to have a disability and earn less than the median U.S. worker.
Wow.
Yeah, stinks. Truckers work harder than the rest of us, too, with nearly half working longer hours than the average worker.
Mm-hmm.
Only about a quarter of workers generally work more than 40 hours per week.
I thought about being a trucker, even going through all the CDL training and everything, but then I looked at how much they get paid and the quality. Like, you're not going to be having homemade dinners or anything. You are always eating out. And I'm like, God, that's not healthy.
Or you've got a cooler in the back of your truck and you're creating foods in your passenger seat everywhere you go.
Yeah, which is still so inconvenient. There's just so much about it.
If you plan on having kids, it's not a great idea.
Yeah.
Why don't we make? I'm not saying like build a truck to be like an RV and like a commercial hauling truck, but why don't you have like a stove set up, like a little induction stove?
Space.
Yeah, just like a little space for them to have like.
But that's space. That's space in your truck. That's gas that you're burning. Like, it's not a very logistical.
But if you're at a
solution.
pit stop anyway,
Yeah, I'm saying that like
you know.
the companies cover that. Most companies will cover those fees for people. Like pit stops.
True.
Like filling up and all of that stuff. So yeah.
So why can't they just give them a little induction cooktop to cook some ramen or some shit on?
You gotta get your own.
Yeah, but I mean...
I'm just saying, if you're working at Geico, do they give you a conduction cooktop?
Oh, no. But
No.
usually they have like a kitchen with a microwave that you can at least use. They don't make you eat out everywhere you go.
Yeah. They have it at the 7-Eleven. It sounds bad, but like, it's kind of like the game. It's kind of what the game
But you see what I mean, right?
No, I understand.
Like, you think that it's 2022, like, oh, how are we not like more advanced, like giving these people houses on fucking wheels?
Have you seen Maple Road?
True.
Truckers are good, kind, patriotic, diligent, working-class people. They're America's backbone. This time, the backbone snapped. Ugh. Oh no. Liberals pushing COVID vaccine and mask mandates clearly abandon the working class, though they're oblivious to the possible consequences. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi this month on This Week with George Stephanopoulos insisted Democrats will win in November because of the empathy we have for America's working families.
Okay, so that means she really needs to retire because clearly she's not in the right state of mind.
No, that means she's clearly going to steal the vote. We will win in November. No, you won't. Unless you somehow rig the vote.
Well, you know, in the blue states that are always blue, like New York and California, she's gonna win.
Yeah, you start to grow a delirious state
Yeah.
in those states where you think, oh my god, everybody loves me. Right? Everybody loves us. I don't travel anywhere, so nobody's gonna, Besides, like, she goes to D.C. and California. Two of the most, like, liberal places in America.
Right.
She's getting a beach house in Florida.
No, they're gonna like her
Her
there.
retirement home.
Miami? Probably, though.
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure she's
Hurricane.
looking at real estate down in Florida, though.
It's probably Miami. I doubt she's going anywhere else, really. Although, she might have liked the red Republican policies.
Oh, she loves the red Republican policy. She just
Who wouldn't?
never implement them herself.
No. She couldn't. She'd get voted out.
Mm-hmm.
She might actually have to retire.
Right.
Please.
She'd actually fix the issues instead of causing more.
Homeless people, that's not a problem.
Nope.
No, not
Fix it.
at all in San Francisco. The Democratic leader, caught breaking the rules maskless in a San Francisco salon, belongs to a liberal ruling class that believes it deserves separate, more lenient rules than those it imposes on the working class. Pelosi's on course for a wake-up call, the sound of a trucker's air horn blast.
Yeah.
I really...
This does seem a little bit more biased too. It seemed because they
Yeah.
say like liberals and stuff like that. So is New York Post more of a right leaning?
New York Post is right-leaning.
Oh, I never knew that.
I felt like it might be a little bit more refreshing.
Cool.
A little bit.
Oh, it is definitely.
Just to get something that isn't completely left-wing or completely biased against.
No, I think we should have
everything
all
we
points of
do.
view.
Thank you for joining us for that segment from the Weekly Rundown podcast. Click the video on the right to watch the full podcast and our logo to subscribe so you can see our videos in your feed. Hopefully you enjoyed this week's episode and will join us again next week.